Have you ever missed performing live during all those years of stage? Are you comfortable being the protagonist in the spotlight, or do you prefer being a little more in the background?
I think you can probably guess the answer, really. I don't feel a real need to do it. No, I don't feel I have to be in front of an audience or anything like that. But that's not to say that I don't enjoy it, because this has been a lot of fun, and I used to actually enjoy being on the road with the Mode as well. But I haven't really missed it, no, to be honest. I wanted a change. I wanted to have a kind of different life with just doing other things and being at home with family and all that kind of thing. And it's only now really that it's really made some sense to come and do these presentations. I mean, in a way, I don't even think of it as going on tour or playing live. I feel like it's more like a presentation of the project to people in some live venues. That's how it feels to me. There's a subtle difference, you know.
Considering the experience acquired through the years and the great results you've got as a co-producer of the pt.1 albums and as a producer of a hit series album, why didn't you work so much as a producer in the last 12 years?
I think the main reason is that being a producer is not just about producing music, it's about managing people and being a kind of mediator or advisor or a marriage counsellor, and all those things. That it means that you have to deal with the politics of relationships, and I think that puts me off producing other people, you know. Maybe I'm too selfish for that, but I don't want to waste energy on that side of things. I prefer to concentrate on music, and the way I've found best to do that is to basically work alone. So sometimes I'll take on remix projects or do something for other people, but as I say, I don't really want to get back involved with all those politics, and that's why I left the group. You know.
Do you think your next album will be the natural follow-up to the others? Or do you think that desire to explore new musical horizons might lead you to an important change of direction?
It's an impossible question to answer, because I never really know. You know, the whole way I make music it's a kind of discovery process for me. And that's what I enjoy about it, you know, that you can just suddenly be thrown by one idea and go on a completely different direction. So given that that's the way I work, and I don't start off with songs, I kind of just have a few basic atmospheres and ideas, and I allow it to grow and evolve. I just never know where it's going to end up, and it's only when I'm very close to finishing an album or a record that I can sort of see what it is, and it's just difficult to know if it's going to go in a completely different direction or if it will be quite similar. I hope it will move forward and change a bit, you know.
Your music has a strong imaginary power and should be perfect as a soundtrack for a film. Would you like to be involved in a project like that?
I would actually like to be involved in a good film project. I haven't really been asked by any serious directors yet to compose a complete soundtrack, you know, and it's often been said that, you know, my music would be suited to that, so it would make sense, and one of these days I might get around to doing it. I hope so.
Have you ever realized that Bloodline, or at least some of its track, was a precursor to the trend of using vocals performed by blues gospel artists? A trend that was made popular by Moby only 7 years later than you.
Yeah, I think there's some truth in that. But, you know, I'm sure other people had the same kind of idea as well, you know. I mean, yes, it's interesting that there was a very similar kind of track on that album that Moby was also on, which is the Bloodline album, which was electro blues for Booker White. And I've always enjoyed that mixture of taking something that's very extreme, something that's very far away from electronic music, and modern digital techniques, something that has pure kind of raw emotion, and which is epitomized within blues and gospel music. So to put the two things together has always fascinated me, and that's why I continue to do it now. And there's many people, I suppose, that have gone forward with that idea of producing music and then getting other vocalists in to contribute to that, like Massive Attack and Uncle and people like that.
You said your work is now based around performances. You chop up and restructure. But people have still now the idea you are very into electronic music and into synthesizers. This gives the dimension of your great work in Depeche Mode. But are you really pleased with this kind of label you have?
Well, it's slightly wrong to say I'm kind of into electronics, even though we use electronic instruments, we sometimes use sequenced parts, we use synthesizers. Most of what I do is actually, as you say, based around sections of performance, which are then sampled, looped and used. Because I use lots of modern technology in order to put that together, it sounds very modern. But as I say, I'm interested in the content of emotion too, and that I think you need the performance elements to get that. You know, pure electronics is great. I like minimal electro music, I like Kraftwerk, I like, you know, Architect, my favourite band at the moment. You know, and this is very minimal, precise music. And I guess I'm also into precision, you know, I like things to be, the details are very important to me. But it's not true to say that I'm just into, I'm about electronic music, really. No. And in fact, I've been working the same way ever since the sampler was invented, you know. As soon as the sampler was invented, you can hear the first record recordings. It's all about sampled loops.
Succeed in doing something that sounds new in the world of music, especially if electronic. What coming up with something fresh would mean for you, supposing that you consider it possible?
Well, yeah, do I consider it possible? I suppose original ideas are always possible. It is difficult because there's a wealth of style and material to draw on within popular music from the last 50 years and more. I guess I try not to think about too much about desperately trying to be original, but just to do something that's good. And if it's good, but it's a regurgitation of an old idea, it doesn't really matter if you can put it together in a new way. I think that's what you do. You put something together in a way that hasn't been put together before. I think the thing to do is not think about it too much. Just try to enjoy what you do, see where it takes you, and if it sounds original and new, that's great, you know.